atWork Australia would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands and pay our respect to elders past and present. This podcast is being recorded in the southwest and Western Australia, which is land of the Noongar people. We'd also like to pay our respects and acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands from wherever you may be listening from. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Candid Conversations with Shaun. In this episode, we speak with atWork Australia client Josh. This man is an absolute inspiration. He opens up about some of the traumas and challenges that he's faced and overcome throughout his life. It amazes me how he can still put a smile on his face, approach each day with such positivity and kindness towards others. I truly enjoyed my conversation with Josh and learning about his life journey, and I'm sure you will too. Hope you enjoy. Mate, thanks so much for taking the time to come and have a chat with me, especially at the end of the day. It's probably the last thing you want to do and just want to get home to the family.
Yeah, that's all right, man. Like look, literally, it's no dramas with me, and we can sort of inspire a few people by doing it. Well, then let's do so.
Yeah, well, the reason why I reached out to you is I heard part of your story when you spoke at the atWork Australia New South Wales Employer Awards, and I was quite inspired. And it sounds like you've been on quite a journey throughout your life.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. It's been ups and downs, a lot of learning curves and a lot of tough times, a lot of good times, but definitely been a good journey.
Oh, as long as the good outweigh the bad, then that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, mate. Got beautiful kids in my life. I've got a job. I've got a lot more than a lot of other people dream to have. You know, there's people that can't have kids or for whatever reason, so count my blessings.
That's a really great way to look at it, is you be thankful and positive about the things that you do have, because, you know, a lot of time people do take it for granted being able to go to work every day, but a lot of the time that's not the case for some people.
Oh, 100%.
Today I want to sort of chat about, I guess, your life journey and then your experience with atWork Australia as well. If you don't mind sharing, do you mind telling us a bit about yourself, a bit about your upbringing, where'd you come from, and, yeah, a bit about your journey through life, I guess?
Yeah, mate. So like I said, I was born in Melbourne, in Footscray in 1990, and not long after that, I guess a couple of months, I sort of was put on a plane and got sent to live with my grandparents, who was in New Zealand and the North Island and Auckland. So I didn't spend too much time in Australia after being born. And obviously I didn't spend too much time with my mother and my father after being born. Straight to live with my grandparents. But
do you mind if I ask why were you taken away from your parents, or they decided to send you to your grandparents? What was the situation there?
Yeah, you and me both, Shaun. I'm still trying to figure that out to this day. Always question that. I've also got an 11-month younger sister that did stay with my mother and my father up until, I guess, my mother and my father split whenever they did, which was pretty early after they had my sister. So, I've always wondered why, like, I was sent with my grandparents, and was I don't know, mate, maybe I was too much of a child. I'm like, there's still question marks that, for me to sort of heal and move forward to that I want answered. But, to answer the question, man, I actually don't really know.
Yeah, well, hopefully one day you can have that conversation and find out.
Yeah, man, it'll be good. Definitely good just to move forward. It'd sort of put me in a bit of peace of mind, and yeah, definitely be able for me to heal myself and just, you know, have those questions answered. But Mum's never sort of spoken out about why. She keeps a lot of stuff to herself.
So tell us about when you arrived in New Zealand. I guess you obviously wouldn't remember first arriving being so young, but you were living with your grandparents?
No, I definitely couldn't remember. But what I can tell you I do remember, Shaun, is where we used to live, right, was in a suburb in Auckland, in West Auckland, called Parnell. And in Parnell, like the house we actually lived in was it was a part of a tourist attraction, which was a massive rose garden that would be at least 20 NRL fields. You know what I mean? So it was quite massive.
Yeah,
bit of a exciting and adventurous type of place for a youngin to sort of be able to just go freely and do as he pleases throughout the rose garden. My grandfather was the caretaker of the place, so I guess that's how we sort of managed to get our foot in the door there. And Nana just has things under wrap at home. At home, and just we also had her, because my mother's got 5 sisters, so we also had two of mum's sisters, my aunties. We had two of my grandmother's daughters living there too. So sort of grew up with them a bit and looked up to them. And yeah, opposed to them, I didn't really have anyone to look up to. So yeah, it was a pretty cool place to run around in and just like make it my own, and which I did. Like I was just all I can remember, man, was just like there was little paths I used to take off by myself, literally by myself at a young age, because I felt safe in the rose garden. You know what I mean? There was always families walking around with their dogs.
It was your backyard.
Yeah. Like there were people having weddings there, and like you name it. Like there was like a box that people could write letters or drop a little few words and say thank you or whatever to the rose garden. And we had people like Johnny Depp, Joe Lomu, like just coming in there and just saying, oh, I've dropped by and what a nice place you have, da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty massive, man. Just to give you a bit of an idea of the spectrum of the place. And so like there was like little paths that I used to just go walking down that would just like one would lead to like the pools, which was like the Parnell pools, which is just around the corner from our place, but you could get there through the rose garden, which was pretty cool. I felt like it was a bit of a part of my backyard, to be honest.
Yeah, sounds like you got a little maze going on in the backyard. You could just run around wherever you wanted.
Yeah, when you're that young, I guess like it felt more dense, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course.
And and like another path, it would go straight to the beach, which was right behind Parnell Pool. So yeah, looking back on it now, I have very fond memories of growing up there. Like I don't remember too much of when I first got there, but as I grew up a bit, like I was riding to skateboarding because I had one of my aunties, she was actually dating a professional skateboarder who had like an abundance of friends that who are also professional skateboarders. And when I say professional, I don't mean like, oh yeah, they'd done a few competitions or whatever. I mean like these guys like used to bump around with like the likes and names of people that are on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, like
wow.
These guys. Yeah, these guys knew people like
they
that.
They were legit skaters.
They were legit. Like they're like you YouTube them, they're all over it. Like skateboard magazines that was like in New Zealand. They were on the front page every single weekend.
You probably didn't realise it at the time, did you?
No, not really. I was just loving life, man, just learning how to skate, fell in love with skating. I was very, very, very energetic. Always had just no amount of energy just to keep going and going and going. And I found like I was just cruising around with them every day at a very young age and just going to different skate parks and just carving it up, making videos basically. That's what they were doing. And yeah, they sort of taught me how to skate, and I just felt like I was a bit like welcomed, you know what I mean? Not like I belonged to something anyway.
They took you under their wing and made you a part of their group.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, pretty happy about that. One of the bonuses of growing up with my nana, I guess.
Well, you always got to cherish that, mate. And sounds like you learnt from some of the best as well.
But he's passed away now. Rest in peace. Yeah. So, but
I was going to say, can you tell us about the next chapter of your life? I remember from in a previous conversation you mentioned you then come back to live with your father in Australia.
Yeah. So what happened was I remember this is how vivid. Even the conversations I remember hearing between my grandfather and my grandmother at a very young age, would have been about 4 and a half, 5. And I even remember, I can't remember, don't quote me, but I can't remember if it was my grandmother saying, no, don't take him or don't send him, or if it was my grandfather saying, no, he's not going anywhere. But I remember an argument or two between me grandparents about that exact conversation, and then all of a sudden, all I remember is I can actually remember being on the plane with like a flight attendant lady, and I can remember saying goodbye to my grandfather at Auckland Airport, and then I could also remember getting to Australia. So I remember that very well, and I got to, I think he was living in Bundaberg. Met him, and he gave me a massive hug, like a hug that was to sort of let me know that you're going to be looked after. And I thought, okay, he said, hey, son, how you doing? I thought, this is all right,
yeah.
Meet my dad, and it's all happening. And 4 years later, usually you'd say straight out of the womb, you got skin to skin with your father. I can't remember any of that. I can't remember any any recollection, no recollection of any contact with my father until I was about 4 or 5. I know he was a quite a violent man, and he was all like he pretty bad on the drink as well. And I'll get to that now anyway. But so I sort of got back to his joint in another new place for me that I hadn't been. So obviously, I was born in Melbourne, but now I'm in Queensland, and so we got back to his house and sort of opened the door, and the first thing I saw as I looked to the right, there was two pieces of furniture in the whole house. That's what grabbed my attention. It was a bit, and the smell as well. It was a bit like it was gut wrenching, like it was just something like something died or something.
Can you still remember the smell now?
I can remember. It's so weird. It's so weird. It was like it happened yesterday, and I'm 34 now. Just to let the people know. But yeah, man, walked through the house, and first thing I noticed was the couch on the right that went from the start of the lounge room all the way down to the kitchen, and it must have had at least 4 of his friends that were sitting on the couch, and every single one of them. Well, I thought they were asleep, and then when I sort of had a better look, I noticed that they all had needles in their arms, and they were just dozed out on the couch with their heads down. I was like. But when you're that age, you're 4 years old, you're not like, okay, I know everything about what's bad, what's good, but I had a feeling of something's not right.
Because you wouldn't have known what that meant at that age, right?
No, yeah. That's like as kids, we're only supposed to, sort of be,
Sheltered.
introduced. And, we're sort of supposed to be showing all the nice things and good things and taught about Santa and, like what normal kids are basically getting taught about. It just wasn't happening there, and then on top of that, because I remember going, okay, that's pretty weird, and then just kept walking, and then the only other piece of furniture that was in front of the couch was the cardboard box, which had the TV that stood up on it, and it was just like something was wrong, man. Because I live in Edmonton, everything I had everything. So fortunate, so thankful, so appreciative that I was, lived in such a warm household, and had a lot of love given to me from my nana, especially my grandfather. He was a very good man, and also my aunties as well. So, and just didn't get any of that there.
You start wondering where you've been taken to.
Yeah, I did actually. And something I didn't even mention to you earlier, Shaun. But so this is actually what happened, man. And he stole me from my grandparents and whatnot, and they couldn't find out where we were because he was actually on drugs himself too. So he was an alcoholic, and at the same time, he's jabbing picks in his arm as well. And it's all going on for a little 4.5, 5-year-old kid that's just been introduced and shown the toxic side of life. I remember being taken from, before we got found and I got returned, I'll tell you a little bit about how it was just day to day. It was that bad. I was supposed to spend a few weeks with him, and it got he took me and claimed me, and I was going to school, and this is how bad it was, man. He didn't have a car, but I remember walking to school. Before I even left the door, actually, I'd be eating my breakfast and out of the bowl with some cereal or something, and because I wasn't eating it fast enough, all I remember is my father grabbed my head, dunking it in the bowl, and just smashing it and going, "Eat your breakfast faster, you effing you effing dog," and stuff like that. Just stuff like that. And it was real. I think that's when I felt like I was actually scared. You know what I mean? And because I don't think I'd felt scared till then.
You wouldn't have, because you'd be sort of thinking, I've come from this place of love, and then you've been dragged into this place and you're being treated like that. And then how does that then go on and affect you throughout your school day? How do you then concentrate and learn at school?
Well, what happened, man, it must have been that bad. I can't remember anything at school when I was over there, but I'd always try to go catch the bus, and I'd always miss the bus, and so I'd have to walk, and walking through streets of Bundaberg, whatever suburb we're in, it was pretty bad. All I can remember is, I walked to school and all I could see was junkies huddling around barrels of fire, shooting up, drinking at 7, 8 in the morning. All right, rush, try to get to school faster. And then, like I said, Shaun, I can't remember any of me schooling there, whether it was because my dad ripped me out of class early because he didn't want me to get found, because he actually took me and claimed me, and I was then lost. So that people were looking for me anyway, which is pretty good to know. But yeah,
How
so
long did you
like
end up staying with your dad for?
well, there's a government agency called Recovery, and they actually ended up finding me and my father living on a park bench at the train station in Bundaberg, and I think I was about 8. I was like, yeah, I was about maybe a bit older. Sorry, maybe a bit older because when I got back to New Zealand, it didn't last long before my grandmother and my grandfather were like, hold on a minute, this is not the same Josh that's returned. He's doing some like not just naughty things, but like disturbing things type of thing, like very, very out of character for a 7, 8, 9, even 10-year-old to be doing. What's happened there? Like, so yeah. So I guess my family, the grandparents and my aunties would have been really relieved to find out we found him. Well, he's getting put back on a plane, which was what happened, and he's coming back to us. Everything's all good, but it just wasn't like that. Like throughout living with my grandparents when I was a young kid, everything was good. They loved me to bits. I used to play tennis with my nana just before the sun went down every day, hitting the tennis ball against the wall, and then so they ended up sending me to my mother in 2000.
Essentially, you were kidnapped by your own dad for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And like you say, like those experiences must have done some, obviously impacted your behaviour and the way you viewed the world for a number of years.
You wouldn't have a clue. You could probably grasp like the type of idea of what the way I would have been acting and what would have been happening, and the bad decisions I would have been making, but you don't have a clue. Like I've always said to myself, like some of the situations I get into, how did this happen? Because I know what type of a person I am. I mean, I'm a very happy-go-lucky type of person. I'm very helpful. I'm very generous. I'm very kind. But like, I just get myself into these bad situations, hanging around bad people, just doing all the wrong things. And, it took maybe a good 10 years of me asking myself that question of why me? But then I obviously had no one to teach me anything. So I sort of had to teach myself. And what I taught myself was, well, hold on a minute, I know what's right and I know what's wrong. And for me, at a very, very young age, I believed to blame myself and play like a victim card and go, oh, why me? Why is this happening? At a young age, I convinced myself that was the wrong way to think, and there's plenty of people out there that have got it worse than you, Josh. So how about just focusing on just not changing the person that you are, that's the Joshua within you, but just never change for anyone and just stay yourself. If people don't like that, so be it. You're not going to be able to be liked by everyone. So I've never sort of had a problem with wanting to be liked or wanting to be understood. Yeah. So, so like at a young age, basically that's the sort of mentality that I've had, and it's sort of made me grow up and mature at a very young age.
Like you say, it's hard for, I guess, you're in your teenage years now to be able to develop that strong mindset of not caring what other people think or the other labels that other people are putting on you.
Yeah, man.
I guess you've had to learn some hard lessons, and I guess there'll be many people cut through their teenage years who wouldn't have been able to take that approach and be able to come out the other side.
Yeah, like that way of thinking was created for me, myself, and I, because, well, I knew for it, like the things I was questioning myself. Well, how come I got sent to my grandparents at a young age? And that made me develop a trust issue with my mother. So I sort of didn't trust anyone. So I then went upon myself to be like, well, you've got to teach yourself everything. Don't listen to anyone, but don't change yourself for anyone. Like, don't go out and be a bad person when you know deep down inside you like helping people. You like, even if you don't know that person, you like seeing that person do good. So like those two things together sort of made me build character for a role model that I didn't have.
And do you think those morals were instilled in you from your grandparents?
Nah, they weren't. They were just nice people, man. Like, they were just nice. Well, maybe that, yeah, maybe because they were so nice and caring, that's where I got it from. But yeah, couldn't really tell you that, to be honest, because I definitely don't remember.
Yeah. And so now tell us about the time you then went and lived with your mum. What was that like?
Yeah, so I was put on a plane at the age of 10. So yeah, year 2000, and got to know my mum a little bit better. And she had another boyfriend at the time, who she had already had another baby boy with, who's now my half brother, different dad. But and obviously my sister was still with her. So when I moved in, I essentially moved in my eyes, like a bit of an outsider, because I
Yep.
was moving into their family where, like all these questions were like, well, I should have been there too. So
Then do you
yeah,
start
definitely
questioning why
some,
do these others get this life why was I sent away? And
yeah,
do you find it hard to trust her again?
1,000,000%, 1,000,000%. Like I try to make good with what life experiences I've already had and what I sort of felt like I wanted to do, but I was so confused, so lost, and just really I had doubts. You know what I mean? I never doubted myself. I've never doubted myself, but I had doubts on like where's life going to go? Like, what can I trust my mom, and who's the guy that she's with? It was just all a bit weird, and obviously it all hit at once because I'm now getting reunited with my sister, who me and her
Yep.
are really close still to this day. Close with my half brother as well, but yeah, his father doesn't really like me. Again, I'm good with not being liked because I know what type of a person he was as well. That's my opinion, but we won't go into that. Um, yeah, it was just there was a lot going on, and I found myself getting into a footy club, an AFL club, pretty young actually. It was pretty soon after I got to Perth actually. I was probably 11 or 12. I started playing AFL, and I played up till I was 19. And like, man, another thing, man, like I mentioned earlier, I was the type of person, and I still am, that just has a crap load of energy, man. It just doesn't stop and just wants to just keep being productive and just keep putting out, and just just trying to fit 100 things into one day type of thing. And so I started playing footy, and I became really good and started playing like 2 games in a weekend, playing upper league, and then I started playing, then I got chose for West Perth, and then started playing development squad, and started playing for the Freo Dockies development squad,
Oh, nice one.
reserves. Yeah, well, like a lot of my good friends are still in the AFL, you know what I mean? Like, and what really sucks, Shaun, is like I had this mad talent of almost knowing definitely I'm going to make it into the AFL because like I was getting club champion trophies
Yep.
like 3, 4, 5 years in a row. Best and fairest, 3, 4, 5 years in a row. Like, and not big noting myself, but the trophies and the medals, they speak for themselves. And, and even like what I'm about to tell you now, like I seen like blokes like me and Stephen Hill were pretty close. So I seen Stephen Hill at I think it was a nightclub in Leaderville years ago. And it's just heartening feeling for me because I seen him and he was with a few of the other Dockers boys and they all had their nice dicky ladies with him and they were looking very, very suave, They were looking like they made it, which was cool. And I always encouraged them and I always felt really good for them, And Stephen just goes to me. He just goes, "Look, Josh, you should be with us." And they were walking upstairs, and we were walking downstairs, and I was hanging around a couple of girls, and I just felt a bit crap, like, oh, geez, like.
You start to wonder what could have been.
Well, man, like it came down to like I didn't have the support that many sportsmen have from their parents. Like, and when I mean support, I mean when a mother and a father, especially if my son goes that way, when a mother and a father see that there's talent there and that's what he wants to do and he's that good at it that he can make a life out of it, I would absolutely pour everything into that, and I just didn't have the support. Like I remember, like I was walking down to the fields myself on a Sunday, taking myself to footy. I would sleep in my football boots from the night before. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. when the game started at 9 a.m. and play Fat Boy Slim, listening to that, just geeing myself up. And then, like, it felt like I sort of almost didn't need anyone, but there was something missing, like.
To make it an elite level, you do need that, the ongoing support
100%.
off the field as well. There's more than just the physical attributes and the skills and the
Definitely.
talent. There's so much more that makes up, I guess, a well-rounded professional athlete.
Definitely.
And do you think, I guess your passion and commitment to sport sort of helped you to navigate through these years and overcome some of these challenges?
Yes, definitely, 100%. I was going to mention that like religiously, and I dare say that maybe skateboarding and footy definitely played a massive part in it. But religiously, going to the gym, boxing, and whatever other sports that you throw at me, I'm all in it, man. I'm all over it. I think that's really helped me fight demons away that I've had. When I mean demons, I mean like it's myself looking back at these traumatic childhood episodes, and I could even dive in to tell you, like there was a part of my life where my mother actually left the father of my half brother's dad, and she ended up selling drugs and that, and she'd done, I think, just under a year of jail time. And she got out of that a little bit, but she's kept using drugs. And she met this guy, and his name was Scott. He's no longer with us anymore. And when I met him, I just felt like this guy, I started knocking around this guy. He was just a gentleman, and he was a gentle giant. And there was a certain calm demeanor about him. And he became my best friend.
Yeah.
And my stepdad at the same time, because obviously not having a proper stepdad, I was sort of viewed Scotty as do whatever Scotty says. Yeah. And so what happened was, this is just 2009, and at this point in 2009, this is just after me footy. I was living in Esperance, which is where Scott's from, and that same year, my grandfather passed away as well. And my mum flew over to New Zealand to go for the funeral. I've never really been good at saving money or anything like that. So I didn't have any money to go over there as well. But me and Scott put our money together, and we had enough for a ticket. And I just had this weird feeling. And he had just done 8 months in jail for all speeding fines. He was never an aggressive person, nothing like that. It was all like a repetitive driver with no license, getting done driving with no license, drink driving. So he done 8 months, and how I saw it was he got my mum off the drugs, and then by bringing my mum away from Perth down into Esperance, got her off the drugs, and then done a little bit of time in jail. Whilst he was in jail, mum went over to New Zealand for grandfather's funeral, and we put our money together after we got out, and we only had enough money for one ticket. And I said, something in my head just said, just let Scotty go, And then I've got the other side of me going, that's your grandfather, man. Don't you want to be there? And there was something bigger and better and more pure that just said, no, let Scotty go. So I said, go for it, man. You haven't seen mum in ages. I'm sure you want to see her. Go comfort her. Father just passed, blah blah blah. Which is what happened. And he went over there, and she was treating him like a piece, obviously, because her dad just died. As opposed to that, they were like two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
Inseparable. But so that was pretty to hear that's how it was going down while he went over there. But he came back, not too long before Christmas, 2009. And just after he got back, he was due to go to Royal Perth Hospital to get some skin cut out of his forehead because he had skin cancer, and because he used to do a lot of surfing, So he had an operation to get all that cut out. Anyway, the doctors obviously said, giving him the rundown, which every doctor would do, no drugs, no alcohol, no mucking about. You should be on your best behaviour whilst taking this medication because it's very deadly. You just had skin cancer, you just had an operation. Anyway, so that was what he was told from the doctor, and he got back to Esperance, and I was my partner at the time that I was seeing was having a Christmas party, and she told me to invite me away. I was calling him my father, because I was so proud to know that the person that he was.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, cool. And so I brought him around, and then in the first sentence, he basically said, oh, man, gosh, I don't know how long I'm going to be here for. My head's throbbing. And I was like, okay, yeah, right. But he rocked up with a 4-pack of Bullet Bourbon. And he gave me one, he had one, and he gave me one to give to my partner's brother at the time, who was my mate. And so we'll kick around the fire, having a good time, listening to music, and he sort of doesn't know anyone there. But, the type of person he was, the CD player that they had there at the party started skipping. It was going, and he's got out of his chair. He took the CD out, went into the bathroom, got their toothpaste and cleaned it, and he put it back in, boom, started working, no dramas. And like that's just the type of person he is, like he's just cool.
Wants to help people.
Yeah, he wants to help people. And again, people that he doesn't even know. So that happened, and then he goes, look, Josh, I'm going to have to go home. So, like, I was living probably like a 10, 15-minute walk away from my partner's house. So he went back to our house and then continued partying. But then we went, after the party, I went back there, and he had all these mad plans. He's like, Josh, you know what? We're going to pack all our stuff up. We're going to go to New Zealand. We're going to start fresh. We're going to work. No more mucking about, you know what I mean? No more, no more trouble, no more crime, no more nothing. Like, to me, he was like an angel. And so I was like, you know what, mate, you're the boss. Like, ever since I met him, I idolized him. And even just him just saying that, just out of the blue, like, I just thought, you know what, that's what our family needs. So I agreed with him, and he's like, sweet, help me pack all the stuff up into boxes. And don't get me wrong, this is like 11 o'clock at night as well, which when I came back, and he's like, oh, like having a chat with me. And I said, all right, no worries, but let me go catch up with my partner. I'll come back after that or in the morning. And he goes, no. He goes, I want to spend some time with you. He goes, I haven't seen you in a while. And I said, I'm only going to be there for an hour or so or whatever. And I ended up staying there for a few hours, came back, and he was just when I came back, he was in like some sort of state. And it was like he had done something with the medication that the doctors were giving him and had something else. And when I say that, I mean like he couldn't even roll a cigarette when he was in the kitchen when I walked in. He was like when I walked into my real father's house, he was in that type of state. And I was like, whoa. I was like, what's going on, man? And like asking myself. And then he just kept saying, Josh, I love you. And I was like, oh, I love you too, Scotty, man. Like, all good? He's like, yeah, all good, man. Let's go. Let's move to New Zealand. I was like, all right. But it's like 4 o'clock in the morning now. I said, bro, I'll see you in the morning. I love you. Merry Christmas. And I went to bed, and I had Nadine wake me up like a few hours later, like at 7 o'clock or something. She started shaking me, and she goes, Josh, wake up. Scotty's bleeding. And I thought I was dreaming. I was going, what? Get away from it. I thought I was dreaming. And then I came to, and she goes, yeah, Scotty's bleeding. So I went, where is he? And then I went out into the lounge room where the kitchen was, and his back was against the fridge and his ass was on the floor, and his head was down. And he wasn't bleeding. He had a brain aneurysm, and he was hemorrhaging. And all this mucus was coming out of his mouth. And straight away, I've just got onto it and laid him on the floor, put him into a recovery position, and started doing CPR on him. But at the same time, trying not to let it affect me too much to the point where I wanted to save his life, because I felt like he had saved my whole family's life.
Wow.
So, he was my best mate, and like that really hit home for me, Shaun. Like after that, man, like after he passed on Christmas Day, it was like crushed me, because I felt like I had nothing after that, and like I'd already gone through sort of feeling like I had a bit of nothing, but I knew I had something within to give.
Yeah. That sounds hectic, mate. I'm so sorry to hear that you had to experience that. It sounds.
Right, but thanks, man. And that happened, obviously, and then that was 2009. Mate, to be honest, not long after that, I started getting in some big trouble, like getting into fights, just getting rowdy, getting on the. Like, I was never a big drinker at all, because my father was an alcoholic. I was never a big drinker. But when I drank, I used to get into fights, and I thought, and I did not like that person that I was, and there was a whole lot of stuff going on in my head, which was like, you're a bit scarred, Josh, from what you've seen and what you've endured when you were young, and on top of that, Josh, like questioning yourself, like, do you feel worthless or not wanted because you didn't even grow up with your real family, and and then like it sort of felt like from the day I met my father, my life just sort of tumbleweeded in a negative ripple effect, man. And it was just like I said, I think that's where I started going, you know what, F it. Stop feeling sorry for yourself, and then I started just like being open and wanting to be healed and be around good people and try to stay away from the demons and the, those thoughts. And, because I believe every day's a fight, man. that's just the way I felt. And I'm still fighting, brother.
Yeah. Hopefully it's
just day
getting.
to day.
I mean, like, I don't know. I don't really know what to say, mate. How do you go on to get to be able to overcome that, and then to continue to be able to progress in your life? It's a credit to yourself that you didn't go down a life of crime, and you were able to save it,
Yes.
save it, and you still approach each day with that positive attitude, like you do.
Yeah, well, you know what I think it was I knew, like I just knew I was, because as I said, I was hanging around some idiots. And even when I was enjoying being an idiot, I knew I didn't like the people I was knocking around and what they were doing. Like I was like, I'm very strong when I talk to myself like that. And it's because I'm like hyper aware about things. So it's very easy for me to go, right, that's not right. That's not for me.
Yeah. And can you tell me, how did all this impact your ability to be able to find employment? And how did atWork Australia come into your story?
So, man, like when I got to Sydney, so obviously I moved from Western Australia, I went, nothing's working in WA, just bad thing after bad thing. Let's try something new. Let's try fresh. And mind you, my sister and my mother had moved over to Sydney as well. So I was like, I'll follow in their footsteps, and got over here and just started doing like some factory work, and I got my forklift license, and I was like, all right, do a bit of forklift work here and there. And I was getting put through like job agencies through Centrelink, and they were just like, as like a mass opinion of all these agencies built together, that it was just basically, it was the same thing over and over. And all that was, all right, mate, you're like, oh, you're a hard worker, blah, blah, blah. You're a good worker, you're punctual, you're reliable, you're kind, you're honest. Yeah, sweet, we'll have you on. And I'd be working for like not even 2 or 3 months, and sorry, mate, you're not no longer needed here, and it's nothing to do with you. Look, we just don't have the work at the moment. And when you're getting told that like by 20 different employers, you're sort of starting to get the message. You know what I mean? Okay, I've got to change something about what's going on here. Like I've got to change my approach to what I really want to do, or I've got to step out of my comfort zone and go, hey, do I really want to work in a factory where these guys that are in offices all day long and in factories do the same thing day in, day out? Majority of them probably aren't too happy with their home life. So how do you think they are going to be at their work life if they're not? If they're not happy, and they see someone like me, who I'm open, like I said, I'm open, Shaun, and when I tell people my story, and then they go, hold on a minute, how is this guy still smiling? Let alone smiling, he's laughing and encouraging me to smile. Yeah. Why should he be happy when I'm not happy? Right, I've got to start doing whatever I can to sabotage this guy's work, whatever it may be, bro. And look, It's happened. Yeah, it's happened countless.
People are jealousy of your happiness.
I believe so, yeah. Like, not big noting myself. Like, I'm sure it's pretty easy for people to be happy. Like, just look at your kids or whatever, man. Like, you know what I mean? That alone is enough for me to get me right out of a shit situation and a shit moment. And when I say moment, I use that term because I taught myself that, these things that happen in life, when it happens, that thing, that situation that's happening is not going to happen all day, every day. Like, say if, you get into an argument with someone and it ruins your day. Like, that's not exactly going to happen every single day. So I just look at it like, look, that's just a moment thing. And when that moment passes, everything's going to be fine. So why cry about that? Why cry about it now if it's going to be fine later?
You just got to work through that moment and it will be okay.
1,000,000%. So I got put through to another joint doing more forklift work. Would you be surprised? And I was already looking for different jobs. And it got to the point where the employer of the company I was working, because I was obviously going through an agency, but the employer of this company that I was working for, I told him straight out, man, I said, like, look, I just found out my missus is pregnant again. I've already got 2 kids. Like, I know the amount of output I'm doing at your place here. Like, because what happened was it was a brand new factory that had just had WM put into the factory. So their last place didn't have any warehouse management. So when they had a brand new factory, they had this brand new system on their scanners and on the computers that they knew nothing about. As a matter of fact, they had people from Germany come over and teach them how it all works. But you know what's really funny is I got really, really close with one of the German guys that came from Germany to demonstrate how this SAP works and the warehouse management works. And he kept telling them, the owner of the business, he kept saying, like, this guy's really smart. This guy's really smart. And I was getting close with him. When I mean getting close with him, I knew how to approach him about talking to him about his SAP warehouse management system that he and the rest of his colleagues, were running. And, so he was sort of like, hold on a minute. This guy already knows. Like, he's teaching me, like, he's sort of like teaching me stuff, and he's definitely teaching the owner stuff. And so, like, it got to the point where it was weird. Like, I started hanging around the German guy and the owner every single day. And, but before the owner sort of realized that I had a brain on my head, he's like, was giving me the dirty looks, he's giving me the cold shoulder and all the rest of it. But when I started speaking to the German, it was like I was his best friend. Once those folks left and went back to Germany, I said to the owner, I said, man, like, is there any chance, like, you can give me, like, a decent pay rise? Because, like, what I'm on at the moment, like, I know it's about not how much you get paid, but how much you save and not how much you spend. But, like, I've got 3 kids, bro. And I've got a kid that's in England that I send money to and got to try support as well. So is there any way that we, you could try to accommodate that for me and try to let them know, like, look, I do like
you can add more value.
I want to be a part of the team. I've got a lot to bring to the table. Yes, I do have tattoos on my face. Yes, you can look at me that way and go, oh, hold on, I don't want this guy to be a part of our outfit. Or do you want to play the smart card and have me? I can ace up your sleeve. Anyway, I told him that. I said, well, look, I'm going to have to look for another job. And that's probably something that the average person wouldn't tell the owner of the company that they're working for, oh, yeah, I'm looking for another job. Because I just suck it straight away on there on the spot. But that's not the type of person I am. I'm not like every other single person.
You're upfront. You're honest.
I'm transparent as you can get it. And I think he was a bit taken by that. And he goes, look, what about if I offer you full time? And, like, there was people that from the old warehouse, because as I said, it was a new factory that they moved. There was people that have been waiting for like 10 years to get full time.
Oh, wow. You've just jumped the queue.
Well, yes and no. I got offered it, and when he told me what he would pay me, I said, look, thank you, but no thank you. I'm going to have to, respectfully decline your offer. Thanks for being so kind. Like, I know that I knew they weren't kind to me. I knew they treated me like a piece of crap, but I had to be the bigger person, the better person, and prove them wrong about people that have face tattoos, people that, yes, have paranoid thoughts because they have disabilities and massive childhood traumas that they're trying to deal with and have dealt with, but are still dealing with. Like, it's
an ongoing process, isn't it?
Yeah, like, I went under hypnotism to deal with the stuff that happened to me with my father, and that was a big thing too. And even when I was, like, growing up, like, I always knew, like I said, I had a lot of energy and I always wanted to be busy. My mum took me to a doctor. Oh, your kid's got ADHD, like, so I was popping these tablets and it was just, oh, man, I don't know if it was making me better or worse, but to this day, I don't even really take Panadol. To this day, I absolutely hate prescription medication. I just refuse it. Don't know why, but there must have been something that triggered it. And, so I've had, like, a few, I guess you could say, barriers or setbacks that have sort of stopped me from being looked at as a normal person, but haven't stopped me from being who I want to be. Like, I am absolutely relentless with not changing who I am. And, like, if I'm hanging around people, the way I judge what person I want to be my friend is by the way they treat someone else. Started speaking to the crane operator there. He was this true blue Aussie guy, and got along with him pretty well. And he used to come to work and every morning through our warehouse, and I'd see him. I was like, hey, you going, mate? Hey, we just clicked, didn't even know each other. And anyway, I said, hey, like, something just popped into my mind, and I said, I wonder if atWork would facilitate me getting a crane ticket or a dogman ticket or a rigger's ticket. And, I just had this urge, and I was just like, you know what? I'm sick of getting treated like what I'm getting treated like for trying to be not the best worker out of everyone else. Because when I say that, I'm not trying to be better than anyone else. I've always just tried to be better than myself.
Yep.
It's always a competition between me and myself, get better than yesterday and the day before. Just keep going, man, and keep growing. And
that's all you can do, mate. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other and trying to be a better version of yourself.
Yeah, I've never, like, as I said, I played competitive sports as a child. never tried to compete against anyone. Like I've always tried to better myself, like, oh, I might kick 5 goals this Sunday. Next Sunday I want to kick 6. It was just always against me. Not looking, trying to be selfish, but like trying to show people that like I'm not trying to be better than you. I'm trying to be your friend, but I'm trying to be better than me. If you can understand that. You know what I mean?
Definitely, totally. You're competing against yourself. You sound like a very competitive and energetic person, but all that competitiveness is going against yourself. You want to be a better version of yourself.
Yeah, man.
So, in a few sentences, how would you describe your experience and with atWork Australia?
Yeah, like I mentioned, went for a handful of agencies, about 20 plus. Came across atWork, and in a few words, I couldn't speak highly enough of all the staff and all the people within the whole atWork agency and organisation. They've helped me out when I've been down and out and had no money for fuel, when I've had no money for food. They've basically gone out of their way and put food on my table. Like, that if that's not sincerity and kindness, I do not know what is, because they didn't have to do any of that. They've helped me get all my tickets. And I've now got my crane operator's ticket. I've now got my dogman ticket. Like, they have just helped me be the absolute best version of me that I can be. And I could dare say, without a doubt, anyone that goes into the atWork doors, when they leave, they will leave being a better than before they walked in. I'm telling you that. That's no word of a lie.
Yeah, well, mate, I'm glad you've had such a positive experience. I think a lot of the credit to yourself is you can only help people who want to be helped, and it sounds like you're a person who's willing to chuck their hat in the ring and have a crack at everything and put your best foot forward. Yeah. So it's really a true credit for yourself and the journey you've been on, mate. I've been sitting here listening to this, and there's been so many opportunities for you to kick the bucket and say, I'm giving up, I'm not doing anything anymore. But I don't know how you've found a way to get back on your feet and keep striving and keep punching and keep fighting for what you want. So
I'm a survivor, mate. That's how.
It's a credit to yourself, mate. I hope you continue on the same journey and you get everything you want and dream for out of life and out of your employment as well.
Thanks, mate. I really appreciate that. It means a lot.
Thank you for opening up and sharing so much with me today, mate.
As I said, I'm an open book, and if I could leave this chat, with a message to sort of sing across to a few people that might be in the same situation that I was in, or have been in that type of situation that I was in, and don't know where to look, don't know how to reach out and get some help, I'll just say, just speak up. One of the hardest things to do is speak. But once you start, that's where it starts, and it doesn't stop. Just definitely speak up and, look after number one, because no one else is going to do it for you. Life is short. Enjoy it and just try to be the best you can be, I guess.
Mate, that's some great advice, and you put a bit of a spring in my step. It made me appreciate the things. Mate. You've made me be more appreciative of the things that I've got. So thank you very much. And one day if I'm ever in Sydney, I'd love to meet you and have a coffee and sort of. You sound like a great lad.
Definitely, mate. No worries. Drop by and we'll catch up for sure.
All right, mate. Take care, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Cheers, Shaun.
I really hope you enjoyed my conversation with Josh and you were inspired by some of the experiences and challenges that he's been able to overcome in his life. Like always, to find out more about whatever we've spoken about today, please refer to the links in the show notes.